Ya, risiko kehadiran artificial intelligence memang menjadi sorotan, terutama di tengah kondisi bonus demografi Indonesia 20 tahun mendatang atau Indonesia 2045. Penting memaksimalkan peran positif teknologi saat ledakan penduduk yang mengadopsi AI ini. Kita akan membahas lebih lanjut, AI bagi pedang bermata dua. Inilah efeknya bagi Indonesia Emas 2045 bersama dengan Burton, General Manager of IBM Asia Pacific. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
A pleasure to have you in CNBC Indonesia. Thank you so much for carving out some times of what I thought is a busy weekdays for you in Jakarta.
Okay, great to be here.
Thank you so much. So first, we want to talk about the artificial intelligence from the macro point of view. How do you track business and government spending in the Asia Pacific region for artificial intelligence adoption?
I think there's probably a variety of ways to do that. We get analyst reports, market reports. There's public information stored in procurement databases. There's a variety of open source techniques, including spending. So I think there's some combination of that that's gathered up, and we derive market figures that tell us about the market, the opportunity, where money is being spent, and essentially what clients are interested in. So it's a bit of a data analysis and a bit of an effort, but we can get it.
Okay. Indonesia is the largest economy in Southeast Asia. We have 270 million people, a very, very great demographic and very, very diverse culture. How do you see it as an opportunities and challenge as well for AI to be adopted generally in Indonesia?
Well, Indonesia does have actually a very good demographic. I think you're in a very unusual situation relative to the rest of the G20. That is, from 2030 to 2040, you're going to have a larger working age population than a non-working age population. And that's actually becoming rare these days. So with such a large working age population, you're actually set for a boom in economic growth. But there are a couple additional things you're probably going to need in order for that to happen. One, you're going to need to increase your investment in technology substantially. Indonesia massively underinvests in technology relative to other countries, not only in the region, but worldwide. I would go out on a limb and say that there's probably no advanced country in the world that spends less than 2% of GDP on technology, and Indonesia is spending something like 0.5%.
Okay, that's a great
And so you're massively underinvested. So that's number one. And the second thing, of course, goes straight to the workforce and straight to the demographic that we just talked about. And that's this idea of all these workers that are going to be in the workforce. They all need to be trained and have technology skills and digital skills. And of course, if you can do that, you can train them to have digital skills, and you match that with investments in technology, then you can lift their productivity, which of course is going to have a windfall for GDP for Indonesia. So that's a good thing. But there's one more thing that's necessary. Just simply supplying skills and technology is not going to be enough. You need complementary investments. And what I mean by that is you need business process as an example. So the short way of saying that is you can deploy all the great technology you want, but if you don't imagine new ways of leveraging that technology and new ways of getting value from that technology, you're not going to get the productivity enhancements that you want.
Sure.
So I sort of equate it to a highway. You can build the roads, but if you don't have cars, street signs, petrol stations along the way, and rest stops, if you don't have the whole system all working in tandem, then you're not going to get the productivity or the boost that you want. So skills, technology, and then, of course, business process and surrounding complementary investments.
Yeah, the environment, the skills, and the technologies. You still see a lot of gaps between Indonesia's people knowledge about technology. You mentioned a lot about investing. Technology's investment in Indonesia is just around 0.5%, and that is really, really less than compared to other countries. Sir, do you think the presence of AI will also help or play a major role for Indonesia, knowing that there's a lot of gap Indonesia has in terms of knowledge for technology?
Well, I think, again, because of the demographic, if you can solve the skills and technology investment problem, I think Indonesia is really poised to take a discontinuous leap forward in productivity, and you can do wonderful things for GDP. But to give you an idea, I mentioned the 0.5, but Singapore's at 5%, so that gives you an idea how far behind Indonesia is. But the whole name of the game with technology, and particularly AI, is productivity. And if you can get more units of output per unit of input per worker, then that's what's going to drive GDP, wealth creation, higher standard of living, and a better Indonesia, golden Indonesia in 20 years. And so that's where I think things are heading if we can adopt the right policies and wrap the right practices around those policies. So it's all right in front of Indonesia. It's just a question of what you decide to do with it.
Yeah, in Indonesian news where we're talking about artificial intelligence, there's a lot of issues about being very vigilant about what the AI brings to Indonesia's economy. If the human resources are not good enough to know the technologies, the human resources are not skillful enough to adapting all of the AI, it will bring more harm rather than benefits for Indonesia's economy.
Well, I think that sort of goes back to my analogy or my metaphor that you can build a lot of highways, but if you don't have enough cars to run down the highways delivering goods and services to Indonesians, then you've overbuilt your infrastructure. So I think the investment in infrastructure, digital infrastructure, needs to keep pace with the ability to provide skills. And the skills are not just technology skills, though those are very important. The investments need to be in complementary areas such as business process, applications, et cetera. And so it needs to be a balanced development approach, led with technology, led with digital infrastructure, and of course, incorporating skills. And so we're doing a lot of work, IBM is doing a lot of work with respect to skills development. We run a hybrid cloud academy, for example, out of Batam, where we train thousands of Indonesians every year on hybrid cloud, AI, and cyber, three very important areas. So we're doing our part to help Indonesia develop the skills, to move forward economically. But again, those skills have to be deployed.
Yes.
And then there has to be a vision for the technology itself.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the commitment from IBM, sir. How can AI help Indonesia to become a major player in the digital economy, just in the Southeast Asia region first?
Well, Indonesia, as you mentioned, is the largest economy, and so when they throw their weight around, they make a difference. And so if Indonesia can increase its technology spending, incorporate more AI and more automation into especially the state-run sector, if the state-run sector automates and increases its technology spend and modernizes quickly, the private sector, of course, will keep up because they don't want to be crowded out of opportunity. So I think you could have a very beneficial competitive spiral develop between state-owned enterprise and private enterprise that modernizes Indonesia very quickly. But it all starts with priming the pump, and that's where I come back again and again to technology spend. But the name of the game is automation. You have to use AI and technology as a way to make people more productive. And as you do that, all sorts of benefits accrue.
Tell us about your IBM's market shares in Indonesia and your markets in Indonesia. For what sectors or what industry the IBM providing services and also products, sir? Well,
we provide services and products across most industries. We are heavily committed to the banking industry or the financial services industry, but we also touch on manufacturing, utilities, agriculture. I mean, we cross most sectors.
And from your cases in Indonesia and from your operation in Indonesia, how can AI help increases Indonesia's economic productivity? For example, by optimizing key sectors such as agriculture, financial, manufacturing, and services.
Yeah, so there's an interesting data point out there that today, somewhere worldwide, somewhere around 2/3 of worldwide GDP is produced from digitally transforming governments and businesses. And so that's a statement about technology. And so as more and more technology is baked into businesses, you have to manage that technology. And so one of the things that I encourage businesses to do, especially because technology is moving so fast, new technology is introduced so frequently, you've got to have a way to manage that technology and deploy that technology quickly, efficiently, and precisely. I can use that word. And so the idea is you have to develop an agile infrastructure that supports automated administration and automated scaling. And one good way to do that is through what we call hybrid cloud. If you have a hybrid cloud environment where you're running on public cloud, private cloud, on the premise.
Both in government and the private sectors.
Yeah, sure. Or at the edge, and you can put a single management infrastructure up to manage and automate the delivery of services across all of those different venues. That increases productivity and it allows good things to happen. So hybrid cloud's important, and of course AI is baked in to hybrid cloud because it allows for all the automation and all the service delivery, and it also supports cyber capabilities, which are becoming very important.